Okay. You've come up with a concept called initial parachain offerings. How do these differ from initial coin offerings? And also, in particular, how do these avoid the regulatory problems that ICOs had in the US?
Well, we don't really we haven't done much legal research on I mean, I think we're trying to, I think they're now PLOs or something, parachain lease offerings. But anyway.
Oh, okay. Well,
IPO is
it's
kind
like
of
token generation event. It's like trying to not sound like IPO, but anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you describe what they are?
But yeah, so I the thing about parachain leases is we call it like crowd loaning. So it's like crowdfunding, but instead of just handing over your hard-earned cash and getting, I don't know, something back, maybe a product or a token or whatever, it's only a loan. So you lock up your dots or your Kusama, same on Kusama, for some period of time, and you can choose like ahead of time how long it is, so that you don't choose yourself, rather the team chooses. They might say, well, we only need it for 6 months. After 6 months, we'll have launched our token, we'll have users, will be very clearly a good use case, and we will then work out other funding mechanisms, probably selling our own tokens into whatever market it is, and for dots, and then using those dots. That would be a pretty obvious way of doing it, I'd say. But that initial 6 months, you may well need to go to others, go to dot holders and say, look, loan us the dots for a lease, would you, please? And that's what this is for. So it's a crowd loan. You're asking dot holders to put their dots in for a fixed period of time. Now, this crowd loan, is kind of a bit like staking. It's handled entirely by the Polkadot relay chain, and then probably over time that will migrate into a parachain, because we don't really want all of this complex stuff on the relay chain. But you don't have to trust the team with it. That's the main thing, right? You're loaning the dots into Polkadot, the relay chain, and they just get kind of reserved. They don't even really leave your account. They're still kind of on your account. And they're certainly still on the chain. And you can always check the logic of the chain to see, yes, they're very much associated with the account. You have 3.5 months to go. Then they'll be back spendable by you from your account. And it's a bit like using the staking system. The only difference is they're not producing any returns like they do with the staking system. But presumably the team that has asked you to loan these dots for their initial parachain, or their parachain lease, are planning to reward your contribution, your loan, with well, I don't know, something on their chain. Perhaps one might imagine some of their own tokens, but I mean, I don't want to straitjacket these guys. Maybe they've got some other thing going on. Maybe it's I don't know, an NFT chain, and they're giving you a free tickets to a gig. I don't know. Who knows? Could be all sorts of things. So yeah, main takeaway is there is no transfer of value in this, right? The team isn't getting anything from the crowd, right? The crowd are just kind of locking up their tokens with a guaranteed by the protocol that these tokens are coming back in a particular time period. Now, again, we haven't consulted anyone of any note, legal or otherwise, on this and how it might be different. But in my layman opinion, I would think that having just it literally be locking up some tokens for some period that you definitely get back later with zero risk or zero additional risk isn't really kind of anything. It's like staking, and that's not really a thing, right? It's just the rewarding is a thing, perhaps, and might have some knock-on effect, but locking something up, it's not a thing, as opposed to value transfer into some other entity, which very much is a thing. That's a definite thing. So I think by moving away from the value transfer into a guaranteed kind of lockup situation, with a guaranteed return unlock-up date, I think that may well move it into to be viewed by various organizations as a non-event, basically.